Yo, Wendy, much love to you and congratulations on the biopic. It was so dope. And, as a person who's followed you for years, there was so many things that you knew about, but to get to see it in that format was dope. And there was some things where it's like, yo, I can't believe she left that out. What did you feel like was missing, if anything, that you wanted to put in the biopic?
I didn't think anything was missing. There were things that, it's only a 2-hour movie. If we all had a chance to tell our life stories, we would need a full week of programming with no commercials. I think that we did a great job. I executive produced it. I'm a partner with Lifetime. They guided me and I guided them. This needs to be put in, this needs to be taken out, or this is too long, this segment, this is too short. And they would guide me, Wendy, this is good, trust us. And I would say, all right, I'm gonna trust you. When I saw the final cut, I was very happy. You saw a little bit of me as a little girl. You saw just enough to see how growing up in my parents' home with my siblings shaped the way I am today. I'm not invented, this big mouth and, being body conscious and ultimately wanting love and a picket fence and a family, because that's what I grew up in, a loving family.
Yeah, Wendy, I wanted to ask too. It's very powerful in the beginning stages of the biopic, where we really see that women in hip hop, the lack of protection that has been in this industry for so long, and it was very difficult to watch that. But I also felt that it was so necessary.
When I was raped,
yeah,
you would say, "Why are we talking awkward?"
Well, no.
That talk.
Well, when you're the scene where you're raped, can you speak to just kind of in this industry overall, how you view women in the hip hop scene?
It's not just in the industry, because I did this this project for a 10-year-old. If her mother lets her watch, there are sex scenes in there, and there's heavy drug use by me and other people, but heavy by me, and there's cursing. However, date rape is not unusual. And I think the takeaway from there is that I fell for a guy who had the #1 charted Billboard song across the country. And he liked me. He was so mesmerizing, head crack, that he did to me what I've done to you. You're so mesmerized to ask me questions. See, I can ask you back to the hotel and you would come with me.
I totally would.
And then, he took his shower. You saw the scene, but that wasn't my first time being date raped. I was date raped in college by, a dopey college boy who never really smoked weed, only once in a while. And especially because Wendy, we were friends, and we were both from the tri-state area. So we were friends, and we were both in Boston, both graduating, if we studied hard, the same year. He happened to be cute, and I happened to be cute, but I wasn't attracted to him like that. He was more of a scholar. He was going that fraternity route where, you get with your group of people and you conform and to what they say. I can't listen to what people say. I'll say what I want. And I've always been prepared to pay the price, and a heavy price I took. I told him I had some weed. I'm coming over to your dorm room. It's sunny, it's beautiful, and it's Friday. And I went over there, and he didn't know how to roll. He didn't have any rolling papers. I said, all right, go over there. And I fashioned a bong out of a toilet paper roll.
Skills.
Okay. We cut the screen in his dorm room, a window, and I said, you got some duct tape, put it over there so you don't get mosquitoes. He's like, huh, what? 2 puffs. He drops it on the floor, then he picks it up. He's all like this, and and I had a sesamilia, which was a big deal back in the day. Very green, very moist. I had a whole shoebox full. Got it from New York, brought it up to Boston, and that was like early in our freshman year. And he overtook me, and he took advantage of me. And I never talked about it and I wasn't wearing anything sexual, and I didn't come on to him, and we weren't talking sexual. I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What the F are you doing? And I wasn't loud because I didn't want the RA to come in. I was the one who knew to wet the towel and line the door so nobody smelled weed. I had, the air freshener and all that. I lit a candle. I knew what to do. It wasn't my first time smoking weed. And he lost his mind after like 3 puffs. And I never mentioned it to him again. I still maintain friendship with him. If I were to see him today, I would never remind him of it. He probably doesn't even remember it. And, you know, poor thing, I just hope that his life went on and he would have never done that to somebody else. And the person who played that, I think that was one of the edits, because they said we only needed one rape scene and the R&B one was more interesting. I guess because he was famous.
He was known.
When in actuality, that's why we didn't have known people in the movie. Like, I didn't know who Sierra Payton was. I watched The Oval. She didn't stick out to me. I've seen General Hospital. She didn't stick out to me. Or Young and Restless, or a soap opera. So we didn't want knowns because we didn't want the actors and actresses to get in the way of a once in a lifetime chance to tell a really wild story.
Now, one of the stories that you did tell is that Kevin, you actually caught him cheating on you a little early than we found out about. So, Wendy, was the fact that you stayed with him all that time, was it because the public did?
What do you mean? When I rolled up to the bank and was about to beat her ass, she was on her way to work?
Yeah. I mean, well, not saying that you was okay with it, but you stayed with him, right?
I wasn't okay with it. I stayed with him because I just had a baby. You know,
Right.
No, I hadn't. Had I had the baby yet?
I don't think so. I think you was.
I get confused because he's had so many cheating experiences in the 20 years. And I guess this girl who had his baby really thinks that he's going to settle down with her. Look, they're living off the alimony I'm paying them. Wow. He's unemployed. He's lost his wife. He's lost his job. People look at him like, you lost Wendy Williams. And guys cheat, women cheat too. But can you have some respect in your cheat if that's what you're going to do? Can you not have a baby? Can you not introduce your side piece to the next person? Can you please not sanction, why don't you go check? Oh, you missed your period. Oh, you missed your period again. You missed your period again. She missed a period several times, as conveyed to me by him. And so when she got pregnant, he was just like, just go ahead and have it. Oh, okay. So the takeaway, I guess, is watch yourself when you're alone with men or women, because a woman will overpower you too.
You know, we talked about how that cheating went on for a long time. Now, sometimes in relationships, people revenge cheat. Did you ever cheat on Kevin to get back at him for anything that he's done?
No, because you know what? I revenge cheated with my eyeballs, and I revenge cheated with my looks, the way I'm looking at you now. You're not cheating on your wife.
I'm feeling that. I'm feeling it, though.
I see what's happening here.
Did you ever blame Charlemagne? Because you did add that in part of the movie where he kind of said, oh, that's my homegirl, so-and-so. And y'all did have a little bit of a falling out at one point in time. So did you think that Charlemagne was part of the reason that, he got with that particular girl?
Charlemagne and I never had a falling out, not even for one day. Kevin was controlling of Charlemagne, and Charlemagne is a guy. And Kevin was more powerful in the streets and in his demeanor and in his reach in the city than Charlemagne, who was from Moncks Corner, South Carolina. And he didn't really get his Charlemagne on until I was on TV without Charlemagne, and he was able to really do his thing. And I'm so happy for him. And he's still my friend, and he was my friend through all that. And Charlemagne saw Kevin yell at me with spit coming out of his mouth. Charlemagne would never get in the way of it. And I wouldn't want him to. He couldn't beat Kevin. And Kevin would sick dogs on Charlemagne or something like that. Yeah. Charlemagne knew my mom, my dad, been in our house, our home, for Sunday dinner and barbecues and eat the food. And Charlemagne, there's your bed and there's the bathroom. Please don't leave your toothpaste at the bottom of the sink. Okay. Kelvin, Charlemagne's got about 30 more seconds before I can be his partner and and share my family with him. Can you do something with him? And so Kev put him up in the Fort Lee condo, and unbeknownst to Kelvin, I paid Charlemagne in cash to survive here in New York. How's he going to get a sandwich? How is he going to get? And Kev's idea of that was, all these girls he's effing around with, let them cook for him, let them clean for him, let them do for him. And I said, no, he can't be my new partner. And I'm running the ratings, and I'm running this town, and I'm running radio. I was syndicated, and be seen as, all right, well, you could still be seen as a dummy, but at least I don't have to feel guilty about it. And I'd pay him cash. BLS wasn't paying him. I met Charlemagne because he was a jock on a station that I was syndicated on, and I was doing a market visit at the station. And there's this little guy who was staring at me like crazy, not like attractive, but like he was hypnotized. And I finally, what the hell are you looking at? You're making me uncomfortable. Go in the other room. he said, well, your husband's in there, you know, with some people. I said, well, go find out who the people are and come back and report. He went in there and then came back and reported. He was like, oh, well, you know, he's getting the bud and, you know, organizing maybe a party tonight or something like that. Eventually, Charlemagne became likable to me in that one visit. And I said, go in the other room and tell Kevin I want to take you back with me and sit you next to me. And we're going to, are you scared of New York? He said, no, I'm not getting any money down here to speak of. I need, thank you. Thank you, Aunt Wendy. He started out with Aunt Wendy. Then shortly it became Queen. And that's all he called me, Queen. And so he's sitting there, you know, short with a big mouth, and I'm sitting tall with big boobs and a crown attached to my headphones. And together, I continued to make radio magic, but I developed somebody who is now, you know, a big name in the business, and I did that.
I used to listen every day when I was a kid.
And Sharina was some girl that all the guys in town knew, and she wanted to be a model, and Kevin and I, we did a lot of parties. I hosted, he was the promoter, or I hosted, but whatever it was about getting dough outside of radio. And when you throw parties, when they're your parties, Question Mark Entertainment, that was his company, presents, you know, whatever. And we weren't even getting acts, you know, all the time, because if you had the right DJ, a DJ can move the crowd better than Jay-Z on the stage any day. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying, head crack.
Yep.
Okay. then, you know, you have drink specials for ladies. Guys always have to pay full price. Mm-hmm. You know, you have half off to get in before ladies. Guys always have to pay full price, but guys go where the sexy ladies are. And I just happened to attract an interesting crowd of a lot of women. And so men followed me, which I loved, because I knew that I was planning my divorce, and I knew new life would be good. I don't want these kind of guys, but I knew, you know, all right. And to make you guys drink faster and spend harder, of course you have the girls with the champagne bottles with the sparklers. Right. Mm-hmm. And then the DJ shouts you out special and plays the request you want, because you paid $500 for a $70 bottle of vodka. Because you want to seem big. So our girls made you feel big. They were scantily clad, you know, boobs pushed up, ass poked out, the sparklers calling you daddy or whatever you want to be called. They pour your glass and squeeze their boobs. And that's what Sharina Hudson was. I knew the game. I was not jealous. I'm a businesswoman. Go ahead, Kev. You know, handle these girls. And I'm going home now. I have to wake up with Kevin in the morning and make him peanut butter and jelly and make sure that he gets off to school. And, you know, winter's coming, and I've got to winterize this sprinkler system. And I still got to be at work by, you know, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It was crazy, because I was the face of the radio station and now the face of my show, and also the face of my household. And, you know, when you're Black and you live in Livingston, New Jersey, and you're driving really fast cars and you're on TV every day, you pretty much stick out.
Indeed. Mm-hmm. Now, one thing you talk about in the biopic is, you know, your drug use. And there's a lot of people who get caught in that web. They don't get out. You know, who introduced you to cocaine, Wendy? And, you know, and
my roommate in college, in my freshman year, I had, or my sophomore year, I had this white girl who was a roommate of mine from Connecticut, a really rich part of Connecticut. And her father was very well paid, and she came from a family of divorce, and she had a lot of siblings, and she had a yacht, and she had a Rolex, and as a matter of fact, she had a few Rolexes. And it was nothing for her to, you know, have a gram of Coke and put it on the table, you know, that divides the dorm room. And I get down with it too. I couldn't afford it, but I did it. I think I tried it once in high school too, but it wasn't really a thing. I like weed, and I like good weed, you know, and I like the process of rolling it. I like the process of having a nice pipe. I like the process of standing on my hands and smoking a bong and hearing the water bubble. I liked it, you know. You play games with how long you could hold it in your mouth, and then you just blow it out of one nostril. But if you were real good, there's no smoke after you took a good hit. Like, I smoked like a guy. And then
this is fun.
Yeah, I'm a lot of fun. I'm still a lot of fun, just not in that way. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But then when I got out of college, you know, it was then I graduated from Northeastern University in '86. I went right to St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands. I smoked Fanta Leaf. The weed was plentiful, and it was really cheap. It wasn't as good as the weed here in New York at the time, I might add, even with the Fanta Leaf. But I smoked and I made $3.25 an hour. I worked 4 hours a day. You do the math. It was poverty, but I was so happy because I was on the radio. And I didn't have a boyfriend. I was very celibate by choice because I didn't want to be involved. I don't want to be stuck being a radio star in the Virgin Islands, all due respect. And then I ended up in Washington, D.C., where I'd gotten a job and I was working at WOL doing afternoons. And I wasn't the biggest star in town. I wasn't even a star in town. I was driving around in my college graduation gift, which was a Subaru 1986. It was new. My parents made me feel like there was nothing I couldn't do because financially they had my back and emotionally they had my back, but they didn't understand me. So I did not want to rely on them for much.
Yeah, I wanted.
That's where I met Sherrick, and that's where I met this guy who really liked me and would give me. At that time, a gram was $35, and he sometimes I'd go in there and get a gram of coke for $10 or nothing because I would sit and just. It was like sophisticated. I get off the air. His whole job was servicing blow to the politicians and the school teachers and people of sophistication, all colors. I didn't feel like the cops were going to kick in the door. Right. The entire city is smoking crack and doing coke meantime, but they were doing it in a low class way. In the meantime, I didn't consider what I was doing low class, but looking back, what the hell? You don't want a nosebleed. You don't want a nose clog because you got to be on radio and you don't want to sound nasal. That's when I decided I wanted to try this crack. I loved it. I loved coke. I loved crack. I mean, and that's it. Yeah. And Sherrick, I met at that particular time, and Sherrick made me feel like I was on my way. I'm a star. I might not be his girlfriend forever, but I could be his DC stop until I get a hold of my life, and I can't deal with a guy like this because I can't share. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Can you speak to the women in this movie, the women executives, and just the authority in general throughout your career? You seem to, when we talked to Sierra, she talked about your assertiveness, your confidence, that she really admired that about you. And we see that in the story, in the movie, that you're constantly kind of saying, hey, this is who I am, this is what I want to be. And you have these battles with executives and bosses and radio. Can you speak to how you kind of maneuvered through all of that?
Alone. I maneuvered alone. I'd never been Me Too'd. I'd never, ever performed a sexual act on any man, woman, child, dog to get to where I am right now. And I'm proud of that. Nobody even so much as looked at me and blinked that way. Ever. And I don't know what it was about me. And I'm sorry that has happened to so many women, but at least nowadays, you have strength in numbers and you can complain to HR, hire attorneys. You know what to do. And don't feel ashamed, but don't lie either. Don't lie just to get ahead. Because girls like me will call you out. Say, girls like me don't like liars about their sexuality. It's very easy to say, oh, Wendy, did sexual acts to get to the top. Oh, look at me, I'm teetering in my varsity. Hey, hey, head crack.
Is that what that is?
Oh, that's
for? See, you know what? See, I'm missing all the cues.
Oh my God.
I would risk COVID to come smoke weed with you, Wendy. I'm just saying.
Wow.
Look, I don't live an immature lifestyle anymore. You're very immature.
Okay.
However, the next time you come to New York, I would love to share some green with you.
There we go. Kale. So there was another part of the movie that really stood out, and that was the whole incident with you and Total. Now, I've been a fan since I was a little girl. I didn't listen to you go back and forth with Whitney Houston, Erykah Badu, Foxy Brown. Was there anyone else that maybe have even gotten physical other than Total?
Nope. And that is exactly why I included that scene. Because to this day, all three of those girls at various times have been in that audience right outside this door cheering on Wendy, the talk show host. Mm-hmm. And I would not go and fall over them, but I would tell my DJ, play a Total set. And I'm going to acknowledge that they're here. Cameramen, because the cameramen didn't know who they were. I didn't want to be swinging stupid. But, it was my request to have that acted out in the movie. It was their request to be part of the documentary, to tell it the way it was.
See, I like that.
I was talking smack.
Kept it
You know, they're
100.
broke, living in the projects. They're not getting their money. Puffy's keeping their money, you know, and they were very upset with that. I would be very upset. I was upsetting people. But I would see people out in the streets and they didn't have the upset thing. If anything, they would still be doing what I talked about on the radio. It's just that they would turn the other way and not let me see it.
Well, speaking of your DJ, what happened with you and DJ Booth? Because that was something a lot of people was like left up in the air with, and we love Sus One, but you know, what happened to Booth?
Well, if you notice, when we came back for season 12, there were subtle changes around my set. The W at the double doors was bigger. The floor is better. My chair is the same. There were subtle things, along with wanting a new DJ, along with I was doing my documentary and my biopic at that time. I knew that this Lifetime deal was going to be big, and I was suffering going through divorce. And it, you know, change is a good thing. It's like I'm changing husbands. I would like to get married again. If I don't, then I don't. Sorry, I don't know how to work my phones, and I don't know how to turn them off.
It's the ill ring, though.
Yeah, I like that. Never heard that ring before.
Here's me, Samsung. Here you have
So,
your.
you know, so you've been conquering things for a long time, 12 seasons in. That's a dope situation.
But let me get back to that. So a lot of stuff has changed. You know, this is our 12th season. I called up Debmar Mercury. I was like, look, find some money in the budget so that not me, because I could eat what I want here. I eat lobster and caviar in my office.
Caviar, your favorite, we've learned.
Good kale. If I'm eating something green, you know it's from the finest restaurant. It costs a fortune. But that's what they would do for me, the queen, on the budget. But I'm like, these people have been working here and they work hard. Open up the budget. And when we have days where we're all eating lunch out of the same, you know, craft services, 5-star or 4-star. None of this messy burgers. If you're gonna, you know what I'm saying, and give vegan options for those who don't eat meat. I eat meat, including pork. And if you're gonna have bacon, don't have crunchy burnt bacon. You know, have chocolate covered bacon. Have apple with bacon. Yes. Have the bacon that's cooked with the fat still on it. So that changed also. Backstage at my show has changed. You can't see the backstage, but the backstage has changed. We got more powerful vents in the wig room because the hairspray was just knocking everybody out as she's twirling my wigs. The clothing is ridiculous. No more is Willie consulting me in terms of what the budget is that I can't spend this much. Wendy, it's only the spring and we're on until the end of July and we spent the entire wardrobe budget for the year. No more of that. The show has become part of fashion as well. And I have things in my wardrobe that cost $5 on sale, literally, at some of your cheap and cheerful stores. And I make it work with a nice wig and, you know, some good makeup. And then I also have $5,000 things and $10,000 things in my wardrobe, pieces that the show gets for me and that I can keep for myself. I don't have to return them. They're mine. Mine.
Wendy.
So a lot has changed here and I wish him well.
Okay. Now, you got the biopic. The show's been on for 12 years. Your radio career is legendary. What's left to do? What's the next plateau? Where does Wendy climb next?
Head crack. You tell me.
You know, I mean, I could see you owning your own network. I could see you. Okay. We're going bigger.
What I would like to do is, honestly, I would like to get back in the classroom and teach. I'm not going to be on this television as a talk show host forever. Quite frankly, it's a lot of pressure. I'm tired of the blogs having more of a say in things than we do. People who studied this and do this. You know, I'm hanging on by a pinky to be an authority in this, but I will not be overtaken by a maskless person behind a keyboard in their living room because they have no life. They're undereducated, underinformed, and or maybe they're very informed, but everybody has a blog now. I love doing what I'm doing. I love this talk show, but I want to extend my talent with Lifetime to be able to still give the opportunity for others to act and write and things like that. I don't care for the music industry, so I will not be going back on the radio. I don't want a podcast. I don't want to talk on the radio. I want to get in the classroom, and this time I want to be a professor. I would like to be a professor at, say, Fordham University or NYU in the communications department, and I want to give parents their money's worth when they send their kids to school, because when my parents were hustling to send me to college, I was being taught with, I was studying for my degree in journalism and communications, and nobody that taught me ever wrote for the Boston Globe or the New York Times. Who are you to tell me how to form a sentence?
Right.
My father was better at that. I'd be on the phone with my father before I got bored with him. I'd be cutting classes, smoking weed, and working on my college radio station and working on my internship at KISS 108. Matt Siegel was, and he still is there. He's like the number one. Can you believe the guy I interned for is still number one in Boston?
Wow.
KISS 108. And whenever I go to Boston to do market visits, I always stop.
How good does that feel?
It feels good. It feels good because I'm not the kind of ass to rub it in his face that I'm on TV and I'm, famous and everything. I go back in there with my tail between my legs, and he gives me a big big introduction. And I say, Matt, I was just your intern, and so I bought you the muffins that you used to like, and I'm gonna go warm them up in the microwave and everything. Look, I'll answer the request lines. I'll fill out the contest sheets. Matt, thank you for the opportunity because. An internship is only like 3 months. I interned for Matt for almost a year because they liked me. So it was like illegal, and I was cutting class and I wasn't getting any credit for school. But I said, one day I'm going to come back and thank this man. And when you intern for a morning zoo type of, hustle, show.
Ensemble cast.
There's an ensemble cast. And I said, one day, all of them are going to remember Wendy, the intern, with the bright red lips, with the different color wigs. I was wearing colorful wigs like Cyndi Lauper and Madonna and stuff were big at that time. And I was into taking that chance. My nails were really long, and I was painting them and putting crystals on them long before this generation is doing them. And I was from New Jersey, and he was from Long Island, and we just had things in common, but I liked all the players around. And I said, one day I'm going to be great in radio, and I'm going to form a cast, because it wasn't so much Matt being the star. I was checking out the people around him, how they support him, what part they play in this game. And he had 2 Porsches, a big pool, the best seats at every restaurant in town. It sounded good to me. I want to be a doc. Let me graduate from here because I owe this to my parents, and I'll figure it out from there.
Have you made up with your brother, Wendy? Because we seen that whole blow up that happened last week, and he actually got Who's Capping on our show because we thought that he shouldn't have been saying family business out there on, social media. So he did apologize, and we seen that. Did you forgive him for any of that?
There was nothing to forgive. My brother is consistent. He's been my brother for 56 years. I was at my mother's funeral. I guess he was mad because my platform, whatever that is for him, is bigger than his. And I was able to describe my mother and the tipping casket and my son studying for his final exam. I call them midterms because college is just such a blur to me. It's not for everyone. I'm not saying don't go to college, but you better have a plan. If you're not going to go to college, you're not going to sit in my house smoking weed and not doing dishes.
Yeah, my caviar.
You know what I'm saying? but my brother is special, and my sister is special, and my mom passed away peacefully in the ensemble that she told me that she wanted to wear, and I described it on my show, and it will live in infamy on the internet. And he knows everything I said was accurate to the point of him fist fighting with my nephew. With his fiance holding their new baby.
Oh my goodness.
Ella, a man twice his age. Now, he's my brother, so he'll always be family. But I'm sure you have siblings that sometimes they don't see things clearly, and sometimes your life is too big to go back and pull them along with you. And Kelvin, I went to my son and I said, do you want daddy to be at, Nana's funeral? Because Nana was really the only mother that daddy ever knew. That my mom and dad's marriage was the only successful marriage Kelvin ever knew. They would have been married 65 years this past July. and there was not screaming and yelling in our house. I mean, there was useless screaming and yelling, like, Wendy, you're getting fat, you're fatter.
Oh my God.
Wendy, you don't need any more mashed potatoes. Is that real butter? No, you're supposed to be using no butter. You have a pretty face if you just lose some weight. So it was cruelty in my house, but not cruel the way he described. I wasn't raised like that, and he knows very well. And so my son said, Mommy, whatever would make you happy. I said, I think Nana would be really happy with that. And then I called my father. Not on a speakerphone for the whole world to hear. It was just me and Daddy. And I said, Daddy, you know, would it be okay if Kelvin came to Mommy's special closed family service? And it was closed. There's only 15 people in my family. And Kelvin was 16. And then, you know, the funeral home people, and the casket was exactly what the color, the inside and the outside, that my mom wanted. And my father was so happy that Kelvin was even interested in coming. And my father knew about all the different details of the divorce, because that used to be, my mother used to give me advice even from the hospital. It was a slow progression. If you live to be 86 years old, something might happen to you too. My dad will be 90 years old next month. You know, thank you. And he lost his best friend and his life partner. And stop head crack, because you know you're distracting me.
I'm sorry. I just, you know,
Wendy.
we don't get to see you like this that much. You know, I feel your pain.
But listen, when Kev came in, he looked like my Kev, pants sagging, Rolls Royce clean outside. You know what I mean? He looked handsome. He smelled good. I hugged him. Hello. No, I don't want him back.
It scared me when you said that.
Like that. Yeah. But I cared for him because he cared for my mother, and he came by himself, and he didn't bring any homeboys or the girl or his new baby. He came by himself.
That's what's
and when they started fighting in the front, he came to the back of the last pew where my son was sitting, because my son was freaked out. This is the first time he experienced death, you know? And he wanted to get an A in the name of me because I'm paying tuition. and his grandparents, because we're an educated family. That's what we do. And he's back there studying, but the scuffling and the 4-letter words and the fist being thrown and people being startled, and Kevin saw it all and came back and he said, Wendy, look, I know it's probably not my place, but you know, your mom wouldn't have wanted this, and your father's over there, and you know, at the funeral, the people here, the directors and whatnot, they don't know what to do. And it's about to open up to her sorority sisters and her club members and your dad's frat members and the other people who love my mother. They're about to come in. You know, this was only a 1-hour thing for the family, like you told me. And he showed up on time, which is very unusual for my Kevin. And the cell phone was not ringing. He did text a little here and there, I guess, you know, checking on the baby, whatever.
The fact that you say my Kevin.
Yeah, I don't want that,
some
Wendy.
level of a window, you know, open.
Well, no, there is no window open, okay? H stands for Hunter, and that is my official name. I earned it. It's my son's name. It's on my passport. It's on my driver's license, although I'm driven now. Life is better from the back of the
Let's go.
but no, you know what? Oh, Bernie's about to wrap me up, but let me finish this thought. When I say my Kevins, because I'm letting you know that we will always be family, you know, and he broke up that fight. I said, don't throw fists, Kevin. If you throw fists, this whole place is going to blame it on you. You're dressed the part and you are the part, you know, and me and Kevin got your back. We will be there to tell the judge exactly what happened. I got a little bail for you. Please do not incite a riot. Just go over there and use your manhood, and please don't tilt the casket. And they had already tilted it. You know, security from the funeral home, it was in the hood. But you know, we're Baptists, so you know.
Where else could the church be?
Right? But Kevin ushered them out and away from away from my mother. My father heard the screaming but never really saw anything, and ushered them out into the lobby where the screaming and yelling continued. You know, F this, F that. My nephew was disrespecting his Uncle Tommy, but his Uncle Tommy started it, you see. And I won't tell you the origin of it, but you don't talk to people half your age. An uncle is supposed to be teaching you life lessons that your father won't.
That's
He's
right.
supposed to be holding secrets that your father wouldn't, and teaching you certain things about girls and life and business and stuff. Bless my brother's heart. Bless his heart. I'm not from down south, but I know exactly what that means.
Indeed. Well, yo, Wendy, whether you go on to teach or not, yo, you've showed us a lot over the years.
No, I will go on and teach. Now,
I know that's right.
I know you will. I know
Professor
you. Everything you said out there, you've done it. But listen, you've been teaching us the whole time. You know what I mean? Like, you know, coming from an era where we didn't get a chance to see our favorite radio personalities unless they was a billboard. You know, I used to see the hot 97 billboards with you on them on the subway and whatnot. But I remember when you did Martin, it was like, yo, I watched that episode because, you know, when he was on there, I was like, all right, cool. It was only glimpses and you got to see the ponytail as you was walking by. But
excuse me, I was a less than 5. Tom Turner was on that morning on that show too. He was not more popular than me. Martin Lawrence and the production, the Topper crew, they wanted Wendy Williams to have the less than 5. And my program director, Vinnie Brown, we were at a radio convention, and Marty Marr wanted the best of the best around. Just saying, I
know that's right.
A Carlton Eye and a clip up, huh?
And you were there.
I was there. I was there for a lot of it, and I want to go on speaking engagements when Bernie finds the time for me to, you know, get away from New York. I would like to speak to men and women, the young and the old, the corporate world, and whoever wants to come, you know, and drop some money in my hat. You know, I'm not, look, I got a lifestyle to pay for, okay? And you can help me, please.
Wendy, I really wanted you and Headcrack to get together. You know, if you would have came a couple years earlier, then, you know, we could have had that happen and y'all would have been a great power couple.
You know, it wouldn't work because he loves LA and he,
I'm from New York. I'm from the Bronx.
He's selling himself now.
What borough?
I'm from the Bronx. I'm from Tracy Towers.
Oh my gosh.
Don't tell me Kevin's from Tracy Towers.
He's from Brownsville, but the Bronx is like Brownsville in the way that, you know, the guys don't tolerate and they don't tolerate uptown Harlem.
It's not a game. It's not a game. You know, you gotta protect the things we love. And Wendy, we love you. All right, you're a national treasure. Be sure everybody pull up on Lifetime this weekend and watch the whole thing unfold. 2 hours of a movie. Also a documentary to follow. And you know, you may say it's a mess, but Wendy, you're our mess, okay?
We are the Morning Hustle.